Arizona State University is hopefully narrowing down their athletic director search, but at the forefront of their to-do list needs to be somebody who has actual passion for the program.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks for making Locked On Sun Devils your first listen of the day, and a special shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications wherever you're getting your podcasts. Stay in touch with the show by following me on Twitter at RichieBrats36 and the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. This episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Locked On Sun Devils podcast. Today, we are going to be taking a look at the athletic director search. Now, ArizonaSports.com posted an article earlier today that was talking about Michael Crow and basically starting to take a look at upgrading operations before getting ready to to hire their next athletic director. So Michael Crow told the Mercury News, their guy John Wilner, in an email. This is a direct quote from the article. Again, I am pulling this from ArizonaSports.com. We are making some design changes and upgrading our models for operations and systems before we make a decision on a new AD. So it is for us a careful and deliberate process. ASU is a great community, a great institution, and is a complex and exciting job, and we will find a great AD. This is good news that it's progressing, but with that in mind, it's been almost 4 months. Like, Ray Anderson stepped down on November 13th, and it feels like ASU has been kind of in limbo. Like, they haven't been able to really find their guy yet, and that's a little frustrating because you would think that Arizona State would be fully intent on getting that figured out sooner rather than later, because, you know, you're getting ready to head into the Big 12 here in, 2.5 months? If that. Like, it's at the end of the academic school year. Like, it's probably going to be closer to 2 months because today is the 5th of March. I do not know when the academic year ends, but normally it's like early to mid-May. So that ends, you're heading to the Big 12, and you still don't have your athletic director. And who knows? Maybe they have the guy tomorrow or next week. But, man, you really need him sooner rather than later. Or her. You need that individual sooner rather than later. And I, today, am highlighting the 3 biggest needs and goals, I suppose, that you want to have and want to achieve with your next athletic director. Because I do think that there's a lot of things that are going to go into what is the best opportunity, what is the best situation that you can place yourself in as you take a look at hiring your next athletic director. So 3 things, we're going to break them down one by one. Let's go ahead and start with what I feel is the most obvious need from your next athletic director, and that's somebody who has a passion for greatness for this program, somebody who wants to come to Arizona State University and take their programs. And this isn't just football. This is football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, wrestling, swim and dive, everything in between. Like, Arizona State hockey, of course, we're a hockey school. Arizona State has just about everything to offer when it comes to athletics. I mean, there's really not much that Arizona State does not have. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I don't know if we have a lacrosse team. I think we do, but I mean, that just goes to show you that, like, Arizona State really does have a little bit of everything for everyone. And that is so powerful in being able to bring people to Arizona State from around the country and around the world. I mean, we got admissions from all over the place. It's not just central to the United States of America. We got people from across seas that are coming to Arizona State University to further their education. So that's huge for you. And one of the things that Michael Crow has done very, very well as the president of Arizona State is really build up the educational side of things. I mean, they've got tons of schools to offer, from the Walter Cronkite sports journalism. They've got a great business school. They got a brand new nursing school that they've been really building up the last handful of years. They really have a ton of stuff. Like with sports, you have a little bit of everything at Arizona State. But with sports, what you need is somebody who is going to come in, have the passion to match what you're doing academically. And this also goes to Michael Crow as well, because one of the issues that I have had with Michael Crow is his lack of engagement in the athletic departments. And you look at the sheer number of kids that attend Arizona State University and the amount of locations you have. You've got downtown Phoenix, you've got ASU West, you have Polytech, you have Central in Tempe. Like, it's all over the place. It dominates the valley. But yet you don't have this passion. You don't have the engagement that you need to build up this program. How many times, ladies and gentlemen, have we heard ASU is a sleeping giant? Because if I had a nickel for every time I've heard that, I'd be a millionaire. So why not finally unlock that potential? So it goes to Michael Crow, but it also goes to the next athletic director. Because I'll tell you, Ray Anderson did not have that drive at all. Ray Anderson was more than happy just cashing checks. And the biggest example of that, two biggest examples, was hiring Herm Edwards, his best buddy, who he's known for years and years and years, to be the head coach of ASU football and not do anything with it. And his lack of, I don't know if I would call it willingness, but he definitely did not have getting a new basketball arena at the top of his list. Like, I love Desert Financial Arena. Like, there's all sorts of good memories there. I've been to tons of games. I've been able to cover the teams from that location. They've got a beautiful dedication to like their Ring of Honor sort of thing that's just posted around the arena as you walk by, and you see Terrell Suggs and you see all these athletes, Reggie Miller and James Harden and other legends of Arizona State University athletics. Like, it's awesome. It's very nostalgic, but it's really old and it's very outdated. And you need to upgrade that stadium, whether it's demolishing it or, God, putting in some major resources to overhaul it. And there's just no interest in doing it. And we've been asking for this for years and years and years. Ray Anderson not taking that step to do that, and Michael Crow also not putting in the same amount of interest, is really kind of holding back Arizona State, especially from a recruiting aspect of things. And fan experience is just not as good when you've got such an old arena. Again, it's very nostalgic, but you need an upgrade, and you need to be able to start really investing. And that's going to lead us to our next point here in just a moment. But you need these guys to generate more passion and engagement in building up these programs. And again, this is not just a football podcast. This is not specifically about football and basketball, because it's building up all of your programs. And you've got 20 plus different sports that you offer to the men and the women at Arizona State University. And it's not fair to any of them that your athletic director has not cared about putting their best step forward to making everything a better experience for the students, for the fans, for the alumni, and everything in between. So you need somebody who's got the passion, who's got the engagement. You need Michael Crow to become more engaged as well. That's the first big step here that you need from your next athletic director and from Michael Crow as well. But focusing specifically on the athletic director, you need more passion from the next individual. Next up, we need a willingness to build the interest in the Valley. Let's talk about that right now. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks as always for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. And also check out the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming on Amazon Fire and on YouTube. Stay up to date with all the biggest news across every league, college and pro. Find out who got the franchise tag today for the NFL. I know for my Baltimore Ravens, Justin Matabike ended up getting it. T. Higgins for the Bengals got it. There were guys who didn't get it. So if you want to know what's going on, check out Locked On Sports Today and it'll get you caught up. Let's hop back into our conversation now. And the next thing that we need from whoever is our next athletic director is a willingness to build up the Valley and drive NIL. And I've got listed on my little board here, if you're on YouTube, I have involvement for funding. Let me explain. Because this is two objectives you need to complete. First is involvement for funding. Now, to me, this can look like a bunch of different things. One, you need to drive the NIL. And it's not Arizona State University's problem to drive the NIL. But what is their problem is, like we just mentioned, the passion and the engagement have been lacking. And thus, the Valley, who loves your team when you're really good, is not as engaged as you wish that they would be. And part of that is on the fan base, but a huge part of it is on the not the ownership side, but the athletic director, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. You need them to have a bigger interest in wanting to build up your programs. It's not there right now. But once you start doing that, you're going to be able to start driving in more funding. Funding can look like a lot of different things. One, it can build the NIL, which is the Sun Angel Collective, and I'm sure that there's some other opportunities as well from local businesses in the Valley that want to be able to bring these kids here and give them an opportunity to make money on their name, image, likeness. But you also need to be able to build the interest as well. This isn't just funding. This is also getting people who live here locally, who are fans outside of the state, former players, alumni, everything in between, to be interested in the program. One of the biggest ways you can do that, again, is building up your NIL. But what the university can do is start driving in money to make everything better. So what does that look like? Well, I already mentioned that you need a new basketball stadium, and that's been a to-do list item for a long time, but it's only gotten more and more important as the years have gone by. So you need to pull the trigger and say, we're going to build a new arena. We're going to make the fan experience better. We're going to make the facilities better so that the recruits who are coming in actually want to commit to Sun Devils basketball and Sun Devils volleyball and everything else that arena offers. And you have a really good hockey arena right now with the Mullet Arena. Like, it's a fun atmosphere to go to. You need to be able to match that with basketball and probably build upon that even more. You desperately need just an upgrade, man. Like, these guys right now are coming to a university it's prehistoric compared to when you go to, I don't know, like an Arizona or an Oregon or a Tennessee and Alabama. You need to catch up. So you need to make that investment there. But it also looks like this. And they did take that step forward during the summertime and in the training camp part of the football season. And that was renaming the stadium Arizona State Sun Devil Stadium and going from Sun Devil Stadium to Mountain America Stadium. So many people were upset when that happened, and I don't think that's fair. Here's my reasoning. First of all, you are not obligated to call it Mountain America Stadium. Me personally, I always think of it as Sun Devil Stadium. It is not your obligation to call it that. There's no rule that says you cannot call it Sun Devil Stadium. You can call it whatever you want. But what you did when you accepted the change to the name of the stadium and the advertising brought in a lot of money. And it doesn't just go to football, it goes to all of your athletics. Millions of dollars came into Arizona State University because you were willing to make that change. That needs to be a priority across the board. You cannot be afraid to be able to market this university, because when you do correct marketing, I mean, don't be sellouts, because there still needs to be some passion here, but that was a huge step forward. Like, you brought in millions of dollars that are able to go to the football team, to the basketball team, to help build a new stadium, to the volleyball team, to the soccer team, to the hockey team. All of that is getting some of that money that Arizona State University collected by giving the rights to Mountain America Financial to rename that stadium. And first of all, by the way, it's Mountain America Stadium, home of the Sun Devils. That's the whole thing. So Sun Devils is still included for what it's worth, but you need to make those investments across the board. And that can look like a ton of different stuff, right? It's not just about renaming stadium. It's about putting in more investments and more different forms of advertisements. Not so much like tons of commercials and whatnot, but there are a lot of different ways that even I'm not as educated enough to tell you, like, this is another way they could drive money. Like, bringing in that money is going to do a lot of things for you. For one, it goes to the funding for the programs. Another is you're going to see that with that money you're bringing in, as long as you put it to the right, not direction, put it in the right places to build your program, then guess what? You are going to see big changes come from fan investment, from alumni investment, from current students, from recruits, from current players, because you're showing a passion and an effort to want to build up your different programs. That's where you need to start really investing. And that helps the fan experience too. People don't want to go to Desert Financial Arena right now because it is older and it is very uncomfortable. And for the 100th time, the fan experience is just not as great as it once was. You need to be able to upgrade your facilities. You need to be able to upgrade your fan experience. You do those, suddenly people want to go to your games. People want to get invested. That can also help drive some NIL for the team. Is people see how good the football program is. People see how good the basketball program is, how good the hockey program is, how good the baseball program is. And now they want to join the Sun Angel Collective, and they want to be able to say, let's keep it going. Let's keep getting these talented young athletes to come to Arizona State so that we can go to the games and enjoy what we're seeing. It all comes together when you build an interest and when you start involving more funding for the university. That's a huge step forward for the team. And there's one more big piece here that I want to talk about, and that is actually having a general care and interest for everything that's going on at Arizona State University. We're going to break it down in just a moment. This is the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is always updating your assistant to call for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada. It'll change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada, and check out the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder as well. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. One more time, wherever you're getting your podcasts, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. Shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. Let's round out today's conversation and talk about perhaps the most important thing from a emotional standpoint, and that's having a general care and interest for the athletics. And we talked about this a little bit at the top of the show with the passion to make ASU great. But what I mean with this is I want somebody who looks at Arizona State University and cares about it. Somebody, I don't care if it's an alumni. I don't care where it comes from. But you need somebody that's going to come to Arizona State University and view it as their dream job and view it as the place that they want to take ASU as the sleeping giant and turn them into the giant and turn them into what is going to be a national icon for athletics across the board. You need somebody that looks at ASU the way that you have alumni looking at it. I love Arizona State. I know tons of people in the media that do. I have family that is diehard ASU. I know former players that are diehard ASU. There are so many different people, from people who are literally involved with ASU to people who were just fans because they grew up in the Valley. You need to have somebody come in and understand that. Somebody who has empathy towards those fans, who have seen some really bad teams and seen some really good teams. This is an ASU program that's gone to a couple of Rose Bowls. This is an ASU program that should have won a national championship, but was skimped out because, politics when it came to way back when. This is an ASU team that has had some really good basketball teams, and they've had some very good volleyball teams. And you look right now, and the hockey team is riding hot. There's been some incredible baseball teams and some really good softball teams. Throughout the history of Arizona State University athletics, you have had at different points in time some dominant programs, but not on a consistent basis. I want somebody to come in and say, I've seen what it looks like, and I want that every single season. I want that every single time a fan comes to the game, they have a product that is worth watching. They have a product that they have fun watching. And NIL is just, it's going to take that experience to a whole other level, because you'll have people that want to buy jerseys, that have X player's number and X player's name on their jersey. You want people to have that kind of care, that kind of passion for the program. And it starts with the people who project it. It starts with the people who are tasked with building it. You need an athletic director who understands that. Someone who has the empathy, somebody who has the capacity to understand and say, yeah, I can build this up and I'm going to love it while I do it. I don't care who it is. It could be Joe Schmo. But if Joe Schmo has the passion and the willingness and the drive and the empathy to want to improve fan experience and improve the university's athletic departments to bring in recruits, and not just recruits, but student admission rates too. Like, I'll tell you right now, Alabama has a ton of great schools, but one of the other big things that really helps them is they have good athletics. It's these big programs that actually want to invest in their football and in their basketball and whatever else that they truly value. And kids want to go there because they want to not only get an education, but on a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Thursday night when there's nothing to do and there's an opportunity to go to a sporting event, that's where you want to get their attention. That's where you want to really start advertising yourself. It helps your admission rates. It helps bring in kids from across the country. It helps the recruiting. It helps the fan experience. It's all of the stuff that I have just beaten over and over again. And I fed a fed horse talking about this consistently throughout this show. It starts with somebody who actually gives a crap about Arizona State University, waking up that sleeping giant, understanding that the Valley is so big and vast and full of people who are ready to invest in this program. But it starts with the athletic director. And of course, it goes to Michael Crow as well. I already talked about him a little bit towards the start of the podcast, but I'll end it talking about him too. He needs to understand that so many things are going to improve for this university the moment you decide to invest. Hopefully you do decide that, President Crow. Hopefully whoever is the next athletic director decides to do that, Mr. or Mrs. whatever. I just want someone who cares. I want somebody who understands the outlook of today's college athletics. You need someone who understands how important it is to build up your program so that people want to invest in NIL. You need to have somebody who understands how important it is to advertise the university and their athletics. Like the Mountain America Stadium thing was just massive for Arizona State. And again, like there are no rules saying you have to call it X, Y, Z. But what is important is that Arizona State begins to catch up and get out of the Stone Age and get back to a point where you are able to compete with some of the bigger programs in the country. You can do it. I believe that with all my heart. You can get to that point. But you need somebody who's willing to invest in it emotionally, financially, and everything in between. Hopefully that's where Michael Crow is going to be headed for, what he is going to be striving to build. That's my hope for this university. And I really hope that whatever they end up doing with the athletic director is able to get everybody else more invested. That's the goal. What do you guys think? Is there anything I missed? Do you have anything specific? Do you have a candidate that you want to see become the next athletic director? Let me know in the comments. You can hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36, the podcast as well, at LO_Sun Devils. But wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. A shout out to my everydayers who are here every day. All right. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is a good conversation. Tomorrow, we are going to be taking a look at Sun Devils basketball. There are 2 more regular season games before we get started on the Pac-12 tournament. It is do or die time for Arizona State basketball. Now, it looks like an impossible task, but we're going to talk about how they possibly could do it. So tune in tomorrow. I'll see you then. Till then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On Sun.